My name is Jake and this is my story. It was October 31st, 2018, Halloween night. My friends and I had planned to visit the annual carnival that came to our small town. The carnival was known for its thrilling rides, exciting games, and an eerie haunted house that drew people from all over. Little did we know, this year would be different. I was 25 years old at the time, working as a graphic designer in a nearby city. My friends, Tom, Rachel and Sarah, were all eager to experience the carnival's attractions. We decided to meet at the entrance around 8 p.m. The carnival was a sea of lights, laughter, and the smell of popcorn and cotton candy. As we entered the carnival grounds, we were greeted by the sound of lively music and the sight of colorful tents. We bought our tickets and started exploring. The first few hours were a blast. We rode the Ferris wheel, played some games, and even tried our luck at winning a giant stuffed animal. But as the night went on, the atmosphere started to change. Around 11 p.m., we decided to check out the haunted house, which was known as the Carnival of Shadows. The haunted house was set up in a large, decrepit tent at the far end of the carnival. As we approached, I noticed a man standing near the entrance. He was tall, with a gaunt face, piercing blue eyes, and a sinister smile. He wore a tattered black coat and a top hat that added to his eerie appearance. "Welcome to the Carnival of Shadows," he said in a raspy voice. "Prepare to be terrified." We exchanged uneasy glances, but decided to go in anyway. The haunted house was dark and filled with twisted corridors and disturbing scenes. The further we went, the more intense it became. At one point, we were separated in a maze of mirrors. I could hear my friends calling out, but their voices seemed to come from all directions. Suddenly, I saw the man from the entrance standing in one of the corridors. He was watching me with that same sinister smile. I tried to call out to my friends, but my voice was lost in the echoing halls. The man started to move towards me and I felt a surge of panic. I turned and ran, desperately trying to find my way out. I finally burst through the exit and found myself back outside, gasping for breath. I looked around but couldn't see my friends. A few minutes later, Tom and Rachel emerged, looking equally shaken. "Where's Sarah?" I asked, but they didn't know. We waited by the entrance, hoping she would come out, but she never did. We reported her disappearance to the carnival staff, but they seemed indifferent. "People get lost in there all the time," one of them said. "She'll turn up." But as the hours passed and the carnival started to close, there was still no sign of Sarah. The next day we went to the police, but they didn't take us seriously at first. It wasn't until we mentioned the man in the black coat that they started to pay attention. Apparently, there had been other reports of people going missing at the carnival over the years, and the descriptions of the man matched those in the other cases. We decided to do our own investigation. We spent the next few days asking around, but no one seemed to know anything about the man. The carnival was set to leave town in a week, so we were running out of time. On the last night of the carnival, we decided to confront the man ourselves. We arrived at the Carnival of Shadows around 10 p.m. and waited. Sure enough, the man appeared at the entrance, greeting visitors with his eerie smile. "Where is Sarah?" I demanded, stepping forward. The man's smile widened. "Sarah? I don't know any Sarah." "Stop lying," Tom shouted. "We know you took her." The man's eyes glinted with amusement. "You should be careful what you accuse people of," he said. "You might not like the consequences." Before we could react, he slipped into the haunted house. We followed, determined to find Sarah. The haunted house was even more disorienting than before. We stumbled through dark corridors and twisted rooms, calling out for Sarah, but there was no response. Suddenly, we were back in the maze of mirrors. The man appeared again, his reflection multiplying in the glass. "You'll never find her," he taunted. "She's mine now." Rage and fear surged through me. I smashed one of the mirrors, but there was nothing behind it. The man laughed, his voice echoing around us. We continued searching, but it was hopeless. The haunted house seemed to shift and change, trapping us in an endless loop. We finally stumbled out of the haunted house, exhausted and defeated. Sarah was gone and there was nothing we could do. The police searched the carnival grounds the next day, but they found no trace of her or the man in the black coat. The carnival packed up and left town, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and broken hearts. To this day, Sarah has never been found. The Carnival of Shadows remains a dark memory, a place where nightmares come to life. I've never been able to visit a carnival again. The man in the black coat still haunts my dreams, his sinister smile a reminder of the terror we faced that night. Months passed, but the nightmares didn't. Every night, I found myself back in that maze of mirrors, the man's laughter echoing around me. Tom and Rachel tried to move on, but the guilt of losing Sarah weighed heavily on all of us. We became obsessed with finding out more about the Carnival of Shadows. We discovered that the carnival had a dark history. Every few years it visited small towns, and each time someone went missing. The victims were never found, and the carnival always left town before the investigations could go anywhere. The man in the black coat was a constant in all the reports, but no one knew who he was or where he came from. One night, while researching online, I came across a forum dedicated to unsolved mysteries. A user had posted about a similar disappearance at the carnival years ago. The user claimed to have seen the man in the black coat in another town. I contacted the user, hoping for more information. The user, who went by the name Alex, agreed to meet with us. He told us about his brother who had disappeared at the carnival 10 years ago. Alex had been searching for answers ever since, and gathered a lot of information. He believed that the man in the black coat was not just a person, but something more sinister. Alex showed us old photographs and newspaper clippings. The man in the black coat appeared in pictures dating back over 100 years, unchanged. He was always present when someone went missing. Alex believed that the man was some kind of supernatural entity that fed on the fear and despair of his victims. Determined to find the truth, we decided to follow the carnival to its next location. We took time off work and prepared for the journey. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into, but we knew we had to try. The carnival had moved to a small town about 200 miles away. We arrived just as it was setting up and immediately noticed the eerie atmosphere. We spent the first night observing, trying to spot the man in the black coat. Sure enough, he was there, overseeing the setup with his sinister smile. We approached him the next day, trying to act casual. "Do you remember us?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He looked at us with those piercing blue eyes and smiled. "Ah, yes, the ones looking for Sarah. Where is she?" Rachel demanded. The man's smile widened. "She's here with me, just like all the others." Before we could react, he slipped away into the crowd. We followed, but he seemed to vanish into thin air. Desperate, we decided to search the Carnival of Shadows once more. The haunted house was even more twisted and terrifying than before. We moved through the dark corridors, our nerves on edge. Suddenly, we heard a faint voice. "Help me!" It was Sarah. We followed the voice, our hearts pounding. We found her in a small hidden room chained to the wall. She looked pale and weak, her eyes filled with fear. "Sarah!" Tom shouted, rushing to her side. "Get me out of here," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. We broke the chains and helped her up. Just as we were about to leave, the man in the black coat appeared, blocking our way. "You can't take her," he said, his voice cold and menacing. "Get out of our way," I shouted, trying to sound braver than I felt. The man laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the room. "You have no idea what you're dealing with." We had no choice but to fight. Tom and I charged at the man, but he moved with unnatural speed and strength. He threw us aside like we were nothing. Rachel grabbed a piece of broken mirror and slashed at him. The mirror seemed to hurt him, and he recoiled, giving us a chance to escape. We ran through the haunted house, the man's laughter following us. We burst out into the open air, gasping for breath. The carnival was closing and people were starting to leave. We got Sarah to the car and drove away as fast as we could. Sarah was traumatized by her ordeal, but she was alive. We took her to the hospital and reported everything to the police. They investigated, but the carnival had already left town. The man in the black coat was gone, leaving behind only questions and nightmares. Sarah told us that she had been trapped in that room for what felt like an eternity. The man had fed on her fear, keeping her weak and disoriented. She remembered seeing other victims, but they had all disappeared before we found her. To this day, we don't know what the man in the black coat was or where he came from. The Carnival of Shadows continues to travel from town to town, leaving a trail of terror and despair. We've dedicated our lives to stopping it, but the fight is far from over. Remember, if you ever see a carnival setting up in your town, be careful. The man in the black coat might be watching, waiting for his next victim. Stay safe and sweet dreams. If you enjoyed this spine-chilling tale, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Darkened Dreams for more terrifying stories that will keep you up at night. And remember, sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones who walk among us. Stay safe and sweet dreams.